The KAMVAS Pro 12 is a graphics tablet made by Huion. It features programmable keys, tilt functionality in the pen, and a full 1080p display. It's also fairly portable, and the pen doesn't require any kind of battery or charging, which I find kind of appreciable because I forget to charge everything. Also, the whole setup can be packed up in your laptop bag with your computer, which is awesome if you're like me and you're always on the go. I have a giant fat Dell workstation laptop made for like video rendering and stuff, and the tablet still fits in the laptop bag even with it, and with the tablet stand and the pen and the cables and all that stuff, it all fits in the computer bag. Real quick before we really get into it, I'm going to be releasing another video pretty soon where I create a font using a handwritten note out of a music book, and I'm going to be using this tablet to make that font. So if you really want to see kind of more in-depth use of the tablet, like all the functions and my actual ability to use it, check that video out when it comes out. That's going to give you a much better idea of how I actually use the tablet. For now, I really just wanted to get into what setup is like, because that's going to affect everybody, not just like designers or just illustrators or photographers or whatever. So the cables are a little weird. On one end we have the HDMI and USB that go into your computer and the power cord, and at the other end it's just a single USB-C plug that goes into the tablet. I know that graphics, sound, power, even Ethernet can be transferred via USB-C, so part of me kind of wonders whether it would be possible to make this setup work with just a straight USB-C cable. It would eat your computer's battery power faster, but it would make the whole cable situation way simpler. Either way, the current cable works fine for me in my computer, but I could see it being inconvenient in the event that somebody's HDMI and USB ports aren't close to one another. In that case though, you probably still have one USB-C port on your computer, so you might be able to get away with just using a USB-C hub for this, but I haven't really tested that out myself. As soon as I plugged it in, it went into the default extra display setting, meaning it duplicated my laptop screen onto this screen. That wouldn't be a problem, except my laptop has a 4K screen. Duplicated down onto a 1080p screen, it makes everything look fuzzy and weird and just bad. Easy fix though, I just went into my settings and I switched it to extend my displays mode. Works fine. But the buttons in this slider here weren't working right off the bat. After a pretty quick Google search, I discovered that you download another program in order to control this whole thing and to reassign those buttons and stuff. And only after the fact did I realize that right inside the box was the instructions right here that tell you to do exactly that. Just another great example of me being a genius. The program is really easy to use. There's just a couple tabs. There's a tab for your pen, there's a tab for setting your display area, there's a tab for programming your buttons. That's really about it. Now, because I had this set to extend my displays mode because of the aforementioned 4K screen on this guy, the tablet by default tried to map my entire screen area, including both of these displays. Whenever I would use the pen, if I had it in this corner, it was just fine in this corner, but if I moved it up even a little bit, the cursor went flying because it tried to map this little screen area to both of my screens put together. That's a cool function. It means that if I had multiple monitors next to each other and I wanted that to be my one screen, I could map this to those monitors and essentially treat multiple screens like one big screen. That's a feature I'm never going to use, but it's cool that it's there. Either way, very easy to fix. Just pick the display that you want it to actually be mapped to, and you're done. So I set up my hotkeys here a little bit different than they come from the factory. By default, this scroll bar here is set to zoom in and zoom out, and these two keys control your brush size. I switch those because I find it more intuitive to scroll in and out in order to set my brush size. Something about just like move it up for a bigger brush, down for a little brush, that feels better to me. Now I did a couple of quick tests for the review. Like I said, I'll get into more detail in the font video, but one thing I did discover immediately is that the pen sensitivity by default way too high for me. I've always been a little heavy-handed when I draw, so maybe it's just me. Fortunately, right inside of the program in the pen tab, there's a pressure sensitivity adjustment. I found it a lot easier to control once I had adjusted the sensitivity. I just turned that one way up to almost the tippy top here. That puts like a hard curve on what the sensitivity of your pen is, so you actually have to press a little bit harder to get it to register a thicker stroke. All in all, I feel like this tablet is a really good example of how far this technology has actually come. It's a lot more accurate and responsive than the pen display I've been using up till now, the UG2150. I bought that back in college. It costs twice as much as this costs right now, and it doesn't have tilt sensitivity. It's not in any way portable. You have to charge the stylus. There's a lot of little things about it that aren't nearly as convenient as this is. That's so cool to me. My best guess is that anybody who's looking at the KAMVAS series is either looking to upgrade to something with a display from something that doesn't have one, or they're looking for their first graphics tablet and they're just trying to find something a little more budget friendly than a Wacom. Either way, this is a solid choice. What I was looking for in particular is something portable because, like I said, the UG2150 isn't at all. I really like working in like coffee shops and stuff. The ability to just pack this into my laptop bag with my computer and take it wherever I go, that's really cool to me. The only minor downside I'd I'd say is that because it's not battery powered in some way, it does still have to be plugged into a wall, so wherever I go, I do have to have access to electricity. In fairness, because of the size of my laptop, I have to have that anyway. The battery on that doesn't last long at all. So there's really no downside for me. Anyway, if you've used the Kamvas series before and you have any tips and tricks you want to let me know about, leave me a comment. Also, take a look at the entire Kamvas series, not just the Pro 12. Fun fact, the Kamvas 16 and the Kamvas 20 have additional programmable keys, and actually the Kamvas 20 has 16 programmable buttons and 2 sliders. It has 8 buttons and 1 slider on each side. I think that one looks really cool. I'm probably going to replace my UG2150 with it. Anyway, till next time, see ya.
I'ma tell you something honestly, it ain't nice, and I don't wanna hear your reason why you were staying out late all the time, and I don't care about your feelings, so begging ain't gonna give you no time. You on my Instagram straight creeping.